Hey everyone, I'm Kate Kennedy and I'm here with day 94 of 100 Days of Kane, PA. And today we talk with Steve Dine, who spends his whole life basically outside doing many different things, from working to just having fun. And one of the ways that he really loves to be outside is with his hounds and having them chase some of the wildlife right here in the Allegheny National Forest. And so he has some very interesting stories to share. I'm going to go ahead and flip it around so you can hear for yourself. Hey Steve.
Hi, Kate.
How are you today?
I'm great. How about you?
Good. Hey, thank you so much for taking time to meet with us.
Well, thank you for what you're doing.
Oh yeah, well, I'm really excited to talk about your stories today. But before we get into that, you were born and raised in Kane, right?
Yeah, right on Oak Street.
Okay, so you were born at the Kane Hospital.
Yep.
Lived on Oak Street. Did you move around at all as a kid?
No, we grew up on Oak Street. Great neighborhood to grow up in. A lot of families with small kids there, you know, and everybody was out playing and stuff basically every night, every weekend. And
so are you someone that would say the West Side, the best side?
well, I probably have in the past. Yeah.
All right, so what are some of the ways that you and your family spent time together when you were a kid?
Well, as a family, we would, you'd go on picnics, and we had a camper and a boat, do a little fishing, do a little water skiing, camped a lot at Red Bridge. Sometimes we'd tow the camper on summer vacations.
Yeah, so your family was an outdoor family
Outdoor,
always.
yeah.
And then when did you start working?
Actually, started doing some odd jobs probably at around 12 years old, mowing some grass, shoveling some snow. You'd make a couple dollars here and there. We'd pick ground pine, sell that. There was a guy on North Raleigh Street that would buy the ground pine.
So you just go out into the woods and
Down to the woods, pick ground pine, stuff it in a burlap bag, and sell it. You know, you make a few dollars here and there. But,
that's a cool job for a kid.
It was a lot of fun. And then actually, when I was 15 years old, I went to work for Jack Bell.
Oh yeah, what was your first job with him?
Well, he was my neighbor, and they always processed deer during hunting season. You know, the deer season was always a big thing here, and he needed someone to salt deer hides, so I got paid 10 cents a hide to slice the hides open and rub salt on them. And then after that, he asked me if I'd come to work in the store.
All right.
So I went to work in the butcher shop.
Okay, and you were working alongside some experienced butchers.
Oh yeah, yep. Jack worked there. Actually worked with one of the guys that's there now.
Yeah.
Ralph Gilmore. Ralph Gilmore was there. Bobby Vaughn, some older gentlemen. You know, Jack was always there. Tom Jones, you know, used to work there part time. So it was a lot of good memories.
That's great. And did you do that through high school graduation?
I did. I did that through high school, and always liked the outdoors. So I tried to pursue a career in the outdoors, and put my name in all the oil and gas companies, because that was kind of what you did outdoors here, and was fortunate enough to get in with Pennzoil.
Okay, so what year did you graduate from Kane High?
1980.
1980, and you knew, hey, I want to be outside, so your next step was to go with the oil and gas company and work in the fields, right?
Yeah, my grandfather worked for Pennzoil when it was called the South Penn Oil Company, and you know, so it was kind of nice to be able to go to work for them. Worked in Guffey, in the Guffey oil fields.
And how long did you do that?
I did that till 1987. Things started slowing down, and they were scaling back on the number of employees, and I got caught in the second layoff, which was actually a termination.
Mm-hmm. But you had a kind of already something in the works.
Yeah, I did, because back then it was a 40-hour-a-week job. Then you didn't get any overtime unless there was some type of a crisis, an oil leak or some type of a crisis, and I wanted more out of life than a 40-hour-a-week job, and I was willing to give more for that. So in 1985, I bought a backhoe and a dump truck and a trailer from Jim Cowan, and I used to work nights and weekends with that.
Just by yourself? That was
by myself.
Your kind of like second business.
Yep.
Nights and weekends.
And actually, that's when the tornado blew through.
Oh.
And there was so much work that, being a young person, people still had to give you a chance, because there was more than the old experienced contractors could deal with. So people had to, you know, give you a chance. There was just so much work around, you know, fixing up yards, digging out stumps, doing whatever needed done.
Oh, so you were part of that cleanup?
The tornado cleanup.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right, because 1985, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's like I say, what you know, like I say, there was just a lot of work.
Yeah, definitely a lot of cleanup that needed to be done. So you're doing this on the side. 1987, your job ends with Pennzoil.
Yeah.
So how did you decide
Well,
to
it was
just
in
go for it?
January in '87, and not much excavating work goes on in the winter, so I went to work for Keith Horn Forestry cutting timber. Gary Wahlberg had a skidder and no cutter, so I was the cutter, and I did that until spring breakup. Then you always get shut down in the logging business in spring breakup, and then I just went to work with my backhoe, and I had a small bulldozer, cleaning up timber sales and doing whatever, and it went from there. Just occasionally one of my friends would help on the weekends or something, and then probably 1990, I believe, is when I got my first employee. Actually, the Cane Stone closed, which forced me to buy a bigger dump truck, and as a result of that, I needed someone to drive it to help make the payment.
And who was that employee?
That would be David Morris.
Still with you today?
Yeah, I guess I was wrong on that. I think it was 95 he came to work.
95. Okay.
And yeah, he's still with me today.
That's awesome.
Still drives tri-axle dump truck.
Okay, how many employees do you have today?
I think there's 7.
Okay,
I believe
awesome.
there's 7.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you get to be outside.
Oh yeah, I love it.
All the time.
Yep, just like I never grew up.
Playing with toys.
Yep, just like I never grew up.
So even though you're outside all of the time for your job, you still like to be outside even in your free time, right?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you do for fun?
Now mostly hound hunting. Hound hunting or recreational. I just run my hounds. I really don't hunt with them. Growing up, my dad always had beagles, so I was kind of around that, and I've always had beagles for pets. Used to go to work with me every day, riding whatever I was riding in. I'd pile a bunch of coats behind the seat of the bulldozer, and the dog would just ride with me, and kind of probably kept some peace of mind with me, because you'd have that to pat in the head and talk to on the way home at night. But
I love that.
Yeah. Anyhow, and then we go out and run rabbits just for the fun of it, just to hear the dogs run rabbits. In the wintertime, you'd run snowshoe hares, and then it evolved into, I grew up in a neighborhood where Larry Wilson lived. He had coon hounds, so we always used to go out at night with the coon hounds, way back when they didn't even use all these fancy night lights and stuff you have now. We used to use the carbide light, where you dump the carbide in the canister and dumped water in there, and the gas would make a flame, and that's what you carried for your light.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you've changed that, though.
Oh yeah, we've changed that up, but it was just great memories.
Yeah, that is a great memory.
You're out in the night and you hear all the sounds of the night, and if you turn the lights out, you can see the stars, and it's a different world out there.
That's right. I think that there's no sky like the sky in Kane, day or night, but especially at night without other lights around.
You can get back in the woods and on some nights, and it's just absolutely beautiful.
So you said you could see or hear the sounds of the night. So what are some of the sounds that you hear?
Oh yeah,
when
a
you're
lot of
out
times
there?
you're out there, you'll hear coyotes yipping at you, or sometimes you can't even identify the sound you hear. Who knows what it is? And occasionally, quite often actually, you hear barred owls. I don't know if the dogs get barking and that's what sparks their interest, but they'll start hooting at you and squealing at you and stuff. So deer will snort at you once in a while.
So you probably learned to identify different sounds just from being out there.
Yeah, and I've always been curious about sounds and tracks. So you're always looking in the sand and the mud for tracks to see what's around.
And so the rabbit hounds, the ones that chase the hare and the rabbits, they are daytime.
That's daytime.
Okay.
Usually mornings or evenings, when it's cooler and there's a little bit of moisture, so they can smell better.
What are some other animals that you've seen when you've been out there?
Oh, you see about anything that there is. You'll see a bear, you'll see coyotes, you'll see bobcats, you'll see foxes, you'll see porcupines. Sometimes you'll flush a grouse that's sitting on the ground. That kind of gives you a thrill when you're walking through the woods in the dark and a grouse gets up at your feet.
Oh, jeez.
But and sometimes you'll walk under roosting turkeys. They'll be flying out of the trees at night. So there's anything that's here, you'll see.
And that's what's awesome about it, is you never know what any day or night is going to bring when you're out there with your dogs.
Sure. Yep.
How many dogs do you currently have, or hounds do you have?
8 have 3 beagles, 3 coon hounds, 2 of them are black and tans, and then 2 foxhounds.
Okay, that's awesome. And so it probably makes you think of time with your dad too, since that's where it got started.
Yep.
That's really great.
Used to be, that's what you did for recreation. You'd go run the hounds.
And you're saying now that you don't really hunt with them, but you still take them out so that they can. Do you have to train them?
Oh yeah. If you buy one that's bred right, you just expose them to the right thing while they're young, and they just kind of do it on their own.
That is really, really
It's a lot of fun. It's a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
you're the first person to hear talk about that. I really
Well, it's
like
a great
this one.
place to live here in the Allegheny because you can go 5 minutes from home and 5-10 minutes from home and run the dogs.
Right, you don't have to make it a whole day trip.
Yeah.
You can just go right out your door and 5 minutes down the road and you're there.
Blake Shelton's got that song now, about God's country and the hounds are running.
Uh-huh.
If you ever paid attention to the words.
Well, there you go. Here we are.
Oh yeah, right in God's country.
So you're married.
Oh yeah.
And you have a family. So do you
Yep.
guys do anything in the outdoors together?
Well, yeah. As a father of a daughter, I was blessed that Sydney was interested in horses.
Uh-huh.
So horses are definitely an outdoor activity. She did some gaming with them, barrel racing and poles, but we'd also go trail riding, which was great. And we used to get a group of people together before she went off to pharmacy school, when she was around in the fall this time of year, but we'd get a group of people together and go camping. Usually Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day, and then we'd go trail riding for 3 days. But then we also would go to Benezet. Guy had a piece of private property down there. You'd pay him to camp on it, and you could ride around and intermingle with the elk, listen to them bugle, watch them chase the cows around. I mean, it was great.
That's awesome.
It was.
Oh, what great memories for your whole family.
Oh yeah, Carrie's not so sure about being on the back of a horse.
But she's a good sport.
Well,
Probably.
she'd go. I'd get a little static about, is this the trail I'm riding or what? Well, yeah, it's the trail you're riding.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, we're not going to ride the road. It's good. Just let the horse have its head.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I just love that you guys really take advantage of where we live.
Oh, it doesn't get any better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
So can I ask you? I think I know the answer, but why do you love Kane?
Oh, I love Kane just because of you can do all this stuff. A lot of people have to take time off to come here, multiple days off at a time or whatever. I can live here, work here, make a living right in the outdoors, and recreate 5 minutes from home.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, recreate right out the back door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, so it's just like they say, the Pennsylvania Wilds.
Uh-huh.
We identified that before they branded it.
Yeah, the Pennsylvania Wilds, it's a special place.
And it is. I mean, because I've been blessed. I've been truly blessed that I can make a living where some people have to take time from their job, take vacation days. And, I work predominantly in the woods.
Yeah.
Timber sales, oil and gas.
Uh-huh.
And it's just.
And then spend your free time in the woods.
Spend my free time in the woods and the outdoors. And
it's the perfect place for you.
It is. It is.
That's awesome. Hey, is there anything else that you want to share or didn't get a chance to talk about before we wrap up?
I think we probably pretty much covered it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories. I think it's really interesting to think about the hounds going out and chasing these animals. And
oh yeah, well,
what you can
there's
see
a lot
out
to
there.
chase. We chase coyotes in the winter, bobcats in the winter, coons in the spring and fall.
Uh-huh.
So it's all good.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Steve. Thank you for your stories. I really appreciate
And
it.
thank you, Kate, for doing that.
All right, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Wasn't it so interesting to hear about the hound hunting? It's a whole thing. So what a great way to be outside. And I was just wondering, where do you guys like to be outside in the forest here? What do you like to do? What do you see when you're out in the woods? Go ahead and share your own stories in the comments below. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you again tomorrow for day 95.